And especially if it was while they were trying to help. Paige was emptying the dishwasher the other day, which was one of her jobs, and she broke a coffee mug, and it was one of my favorites. But just so happened, I had literally just put this to paper, and I caught myself because it was an accident. She didn't mean to break one of my favorite coffee mugs. And you could see it because she knows me, and you could see it in her face. It was a second of, oh, what's going to happen here? Am I going to get in trouble? And she didn't, because it was an accident, and there has to be forgiveness. There has to be grace. As hard as it is, we have to resist that temptation to lash out so that they will continue to want to be helpful. And forgiveness can be more challenging when it's not an accident, right? That's when the real challenge comes. But they have to know, even as you implement those consequences, that you forgive them. And maybe even more important than that, maybe, is you asking forgiveness from them. Have you ever done that? It's humbling. But it's important. It's important. If you've never asked your child to forgive you, especially if you have an older child, think about that. Because I bet if you're anything like me, we've all done things that have hurt our kids that we need to repent of. Okay, the next part, belief in your child and two-way trust. It's important that your child knows you believe in them, a deep belief that they are capable of accomplishing any worthwhile task that they put their mind to, that they attempt to do. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not talking about undeserved praise. I'm not talking about encouraging them down a line of something that they're just not good at, right? It's such a tough balance because we have to be that check valve. We have to be a reality check at some point, and yet we're also supposed to be their biggest cheerleaders. So how do you do that? Let me know if you figure it out. It's very difficult. It's very difficult. Paige is involved in something right now that I just don't know if it's going to work out. But she loves it, and she's trying so hard. And so what do? You just encourage her. You encourage. That's where I am right now. But they have to know that we believe in them. And we have to recognize those efforts when they work hard to accomplish something. And so Paige's thing, I think I've shared this before. Did you get this to work, Sarah? Okay, give me 1 second. She wants to do cheer. She wants to be a cheerleader. Okay, fabulous. I actually have no problem with that. I think it's great, team sport, a lot to be learned. It does not come easily to her. It does not come naturally to her. You have to tumble. That does not come naturally to her. But a couple years ago, she says, Mommy, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. And she goes to the football games, and she watches those girls, and I'm saying to her, you think you're going to be able to do that? You going to work toward that? That right there? Okay. All right. Let's do it. So we've got her in the tumbling and all this stuff. And now she's actually on a competitive team, which means nothing. You don't have to try out. All you have to do is pay the fees, okay? I wouldn't say that to her, but we're just keeping it real, all right? So she's doing this. And in the meantime, she's with all these other girls who want to do the same thing. Most of them started much younger. They're flipping, they're tucking, they're doing all these things all around her. And here she is trying to do a backflip, a back handspring. She's trying to do it. And she goes to lessons, and she goes to her lessons, and she goes to her lessons, and she works with her coach, and she does the same thing week after week, month after month, now going into almost 2 years. And she just keeps at it. And every once in a while, without wanting to discourage her, I say, Paigey, sweetie, how are you feeling about this? Do we want to maybe try piano? Or are you feeling good about the cheerleading? And she's like, oh, no, Mom, I love it. I'm so close, Mom. I'm so close. Okay. And so, I'm gonna cry again. I'm so emotional today. I'm sorry. I drop her off early in December to, actually, it wasn't even a practice. It was like a Christmas party thing. And I get this text from her coach. I just have to keep watching it. Because I know, like, it doesn't look, okay, thank you. I know it doesn't look like a big deal, but man, we had a party when we saw that. Because that girl worked and worked and worked for that. And she was so excited, and she would come home and show everybody the video. And so, gosh, how glad am I that I didn't say, and you're done. You can't do this. Because honestly, I wasn't sure she was ever going to be able to. But she did. And how grateful was I that I was right there behind her, encouraging her and taking her to those lessons week after week, month after month. And I can't say in my heart of hearts that I really believed, but she thought I did. She thought I did. So we have to believe. We have to encourage our kids and teach them that somebody believes in them. Teach your children so that you can trust them to make right choices and right decisions according to their age and circumstance. Give them the opportunity as they grow to make choices so they can learn to be trusted. When they're little, just simple things like their choice of clothes or what they're going to eat at a restaurant. And when they show that they cannot be trusted, then they have to earn that back, whether it's something small or big. You know, if you give them the opportunity to choose their own clothes for school in January, these are little ones, of course, and they choose shorts and flip-flops, well, then we know that maybe they can't be trusted to pick out their clothes just yet, all right? That trust has to be reestablished, especially when it's for something more serious, and it has to be earned back little by little. And I'll just confess to you, as I started the lesson, this is what we're dealing with our 15-year-old. And if your kids don't have electronics yet, be grateful. And I'm telling you this in all seriousness. Hold off. Hold off. And I know some other moms in this room that could testify to that, because there is an addiction factor with these electronic devices, and it is extremely serious. We don't owe them electronics, girls. I know as they get older, I get all that. You got to be able to reach them. Everybody has one. I get all that. But as somebody, we let Maddie have it too soon. We let her have it too soon, and we are paying a price for that. She has broken our trust. And now we're in that phase of having to have it earned back little by little. And it is painful. And it's a pain. And you know what I really want to do is just turn off all the protection and go, here you go. Here you go. You win. Because this is exhausting. It is so important, though, girls, that we do not have the mentality of kids are going to do what they're going to do. They're going to be kids. We have dear friends, some of our best friends in life. They live a couple hours away, southern Indiana, and they've got that twang. And he'll just say, they'll come up to visit, and he thinks we are so mean and so strict. And he's like, man, you just got to let kids be kids, man. You just got to let kids be kids. They're going to do what they're going to do. You all got to relax. Y'all just got to relax. I mean, your kids are going to rebel. I'm sorry. I don't subscribe to that. Kids are going to be kids, and so you better be paying attention and reel them in and toe that line and make sure there is a boundary, because he's right. Kids are going to be kids, and they have to have a wall to fall back on. There has to be a boundary. If your mindset is 2-year-olds throw temper tantrums, so we're just going to let them throw a temper tantrum because she'll grow out of it. You're going to have to live through a lot more temper tantrums than you should have had to. There has to be a boundary. The way that a lot of parents think, you would be amazed, is teenagers, they're going to experiment with alcohol. They're going to do it. So I would just rather that they just do it with me. They're going to drink. They're going to do it. I would rather be there when they do that. What? You know what you just taught your kid? It's okay. It's okay to drink. It's okay to break the law. It's fine, just as long as you're with me. And what do you think they're going to do when they're not with you? Now that they know it's okay? There has to be a boundary. There has to be a limit. And you're that limit. You set that boundary. Conversely, your child has to be able to trust you. If you say you're going to do something, make every effort to see it through. Things happen, of course, and we have to teach that flexibility, and that's a fine line. But make that the anomaly, girls. If you tell your kids you're going to do something, make sure you follow through so they learn that they can trust you. Beyond that, and still on the subject of trust, be aware of little white lies that we can tell sometimes. I'm guilty. Your kids notice something as small as telling the movie theater or a restaurant that your child is younger than what they are. So you can get that. You think they don't notice that? They know how old they are. And they know when you just lied to the person so you could get a cheaper ticket price. Or if you unload your groceries, have you ever been here? It's so frustrating. You're putting your groceries in the car and you see that like little tiny chapstick in the corner of the cart. What do? You go back in and you make it right because you have little eyes watching. Can they trust you to be honest and forthright, even in the little bitty things that don't seem to matter? And also in the same vein as trust, make every effort not to embarrass your child in public. Now, I know that they embarrass you in public. I get it. But try not to embarrass them. Try to discipline them privately. Even if you're out and about and you have to take them into a restroom or even back out to the car to deal with the behavior, it's better to do that, to take that extra time and effort, than to embarrass them in public, because that goes into trust. And that trust is violated if you humiliate them. And this includes with their friends. If you have to deal something and they're with their friends, just pull them aside. Pull them aside. Don't get onto them in front of their friends. It's embarrassing. When you embarrass or humiliate them, it tears down the trust that they have placed in you. Communication. It's important that we try to be careful in our responses to our kids. And it's equally important that we are aware of the way that we are communicating with them. And I had to really think about this one for a minute when I read it, because I wasn't sure that I agreed with it. But I think it's spot on. Stay with me. Speak to them with the same respect that you desire to receive from them. It took me a second on that one, because I thought, it doesn't mean you don't discipline them. It doesn't mean you don't get on them. It doesn't mean they're not accountable. It doesn't mean you coddle them. But if we're teaching respect, that has to be mutual. And so in an ordinary conversation, and I know I'm guilty of this. Excuse me. If I went back and played a tape recorder of how I talk to my girls sometimes, I think it would break my heart. Anybody else? Speak to them the way you want to be spoken to. Again, not the same thing as coddling, but it's just out of love. Out of love. We have to watch our tone. Again, sometimes I say something and then it keeps playing back in my mind and I think, man, that sounded ugly. Just as important, listening to them. And this is something easier said than done, especially with little ones, especially when they get into those really long, detailed, boring stories. I brought Paige home yesterday or the day before, and Paige is not really much of a chatterbox usually, but man, whew, she had a lot to say. And I was going about the house, doing what I need to do, and she literally just followed me everywhere. And I have no idea what she was saying because I wasn't listening, but she just kept talking and talking and talking. And they had a sub, and the sub was mean, and the sub was grouchy, and she just kept going. She just kept going. She just kept going. Finally, I sat down on the couch. She sat down on the other couch, put her face in her hands, and she just kept going. And again, I've just typed this. What I really want to say is, shh. But I felt like I needed to try to listen. And at this point, I hadn't listened, so I really had no idea what she was even talking about. But she wanted to be heard. She was trying to tell me about her day. And so it's hard. It's hard, right? But we have to try to listen to those long, boring stories so that they're going to come to us later with the stories that really matter. Get it together over there. No, I know. I know. That's funny. It's hard, girls. It is hard. But teach them that you're listening so that later they're still going to come to you. Okay? They want your heart, your ear, and your help. They want your heart, your ear, and your help. And be careful not to label them with negative words. That's, we all do it. Oh, you're such a little whatever. Man, you're long-winded. Well, they learn. Mom thinks I'm long-winded. You probably have to explain what that means. But, in all different things, we have to just be so careful that we don't label them with a negative connotation because they take that to heart. Allow your children to share their ideas, their feelings, their dreams, their hopes, and their problems. And assure them that you will not criticize or laugh at them for what they're sharing. Remember that their needs are as serious to them as yours are to you. Be interested, even when you're not. And the next time, like I said, the next time that they want to share, and it's something important, it's something that you need to hear, they will be more likely to come to you because they know you're listening. The difficult teen years. Oh, I don't mean to scare you if you have little ones. It's not all bad. It's not all bad. But man, buckle up. These are the years when open communication is even more important. Take advantage of every opportunity during whatever you're doing to talk and listen. You might be surprised at some of the things that are hidden in their heart that they might reveal to you. And I'm learning kind of the hard way right now that somewhere along the line, I have failed Maddie in that because she doesn't come to me. She goes to my mom. And she tells her, I got a call from my dad the other day. Hey, just wanted to check on Maddie. I said, what are you talking about? She's fine. Oh, she is? Well, she called mom earlier today, and she's really having a hard time. Wow. Okay. Now, don't get me wrong. I am so grateful that she's going to an adult that I trust, that loves her as much as I do. But that was a little bit of a punch in the gut. And so I'm checking myself. What is it that I've said or done that she didn't come to me? Avoid ignoring them, which is easy to do because most of the time they're hiding in their room, and it's peaceful when they're hiding in their room. I'm just going to lay it out there. It's calm and quiet and kind of nice. But girls, you got to get them out of their room. You got to get them out of their room to talk and to be present with the family. And so that you know what's going on. Avoid preaching to them, criticizing, or disregarding their ideas. If communication has been severed, if there's a rift, it's up to you to repair it and make it right. We have an altercation. I take the phone. She, stomps up to her room, slams the door, which I think I have a remedy for that because next time it slams, we're going to take it off the hinges, and I'm not even playing. But she goes up, slams the door. There's a rift now. She's done something. We've implemented a consequence. She's mad. We're frustrated. There's a rift. Okay? What do? Is it up to Maddie to come downstairs and make it right? She's 15. No, it's not up to her. Would it be nice? Would it be refreshing? Yeah. But that has to be taught. And how do we teach that? By making it right. It's our job. It's our job to make it right, to repair the rift. If I'm being completely transparent, and this is an overall thing for this whole lesson, sometimes I am so busy raising my girls that I overlook just loving them. Did Paige complete that project? Is Maddie ready for that chemistry test? How can I get them both to their same rehearsals that they have to be at the same exact time? Paige needs new tennis shoes. Maddie needs new tap shoes. Maddie has an orthodontist appointment on Monday. And on and on and on and on. And we check all those boxes, which is good. That's part of our job. But what are we overlooking in the process? Just the everyday